Hello, my dears. So, this is Maria Roslyn from Phoenix YouTube channel. So, here I am with the second part of the video on test planning. So, in the previous video, we came to know like what is test planning, why is it important, and what is IEEE standard and all. And we left in this particular slide where the IEEE standard template for test plan was discussed. So, these are the sections that are to be involved included in your test plan. So let us discuss about each section in detail. So what does a test plan identifier mean? So it is basically the naming convention of your test plan. So the naming convention should be unique, and it is also mandatory that it reveals the type of test plan, whether it is going to be your master test plan or your level test plan based on your type of testing or your timeline of testing. So that is important. So every organization follows its unique standard of naming any document for that matter. So that should be involved and included, and this is involved in naming the test plan, and it should also be mentioned inside your test plan. So that is your test plan identifier. Later we go on with the introduction, which is going to be the first section of your test plan. So your introduction section should have a summary of why are you writing this test plan for. So what is the version of software that you're going to handle, and what is the actual purpose of writing this test plan. And your project description, a brief description about your project is also mandatory, and the scope and so on should be followed. So that will be your introduction of the test plan. So then you move on to the documents or the deliverables of the uh, testing process. As you proceed on with your software testing, you have to produce number of deliverables. So you're going to list down your deliverables, and also the owners who are going to be responsible for preparing that and signing off those documents also should be mentioned. So no, here you can see a few of the test deliverables which has to be produced as part of your testing process. You have the test strategy, test plan, which is the document itself. You have the test scenario, test cases, test data, your requirement traceability matrix, test metrics, incident report, status report, summary report, release notes, and your closure report. So as I always used to say, there is no one thumb rule that only these things has to be followed or all of these things to be followed. Any project will have most of the documents that have been displayed here in this particular slide. Your testing tasks, so this is the set of tasks that has to be be in position before you start off a particular process. So it could be like, for example, if at all you're going to start off with your test execution, your test case document should have been signed off. So this kind of your testing task which has to be prepared or which has to be completed before even you start of a process has to be mentioned in your testing task. And your task dependencies, that is your entry and exit criteria for each testing process, also should be mentioned here. We have the environmental needs. So environmental needs include your hardware needs, softwares, your data need, interface needs, facilities, publications, and your security access. And also you should mention about your software requirements as well. So if at all you're expecting this particular product to be functioning in a software, in a system, you have to mention what all is its needs and when it will be the good choice to run this particular product. Then a very important section of this test plan would be your in scope and out of scope, I would say, or the features to be tested and features not to be tested. So features to be tested, here you're going to jot down all the features that you're going to compulsorily include in your testing, or I should say the high risk features are to be involved in this particular section of your test plan. So any business critical functionalities has to be included in this features to be tested, and a tester should make a note, make a point that the features that are mentioned in this particular section should be completed, should be tested, and the results should be provided. So what will be tested from the user and the customer point of view is going to be your important part of your testing process. So for example, now if you're going to test a ATM machine, an automated teller machine, so these will be the business critical features which I have listed down, will be the features to be tested. So withdrawing your cash or depositing your cash, your account balance and so on. So these features which are critical in nature should be definitely tested. And going in detail, the other features related to these business critical features also should be tested. The features not to be tested is again another important. I would say not any stakeholder would be so much interested in looking at this particular section of because we are kind of neglecting the saying that no, these features are not going to be tested. But the actual point is, if it is going to be a low risk feature, or if it is a feature that has been tested multiple times and it has been already standardized or stabilized in your product, then you can neglect that feature. So that gives you ample time to test the new features that have been implemented into your software. So in that case, this section is also very very important, rather than going around and testing all the features and finally leaving out the important features and finally ending up in a production issue. It is very intelligent decision to decide when you are writing a test plan what you're going to test and what you're not going to test. The not gonna test features will be most of the time a low risk feature, or sometimes, as I have mentioned here, no, maybe this particular feature is to be shipped but it is not yet ready. Maybe it is having a dependency in something else which is not yet started. So even those features would be involved in this features not to be tested section. So a low risk feature or a feature which is not yet developed, or it has a bigger dependency or something else, and that is why we are not in a position to test, so that also has to be mentioned in this section. Then you are going to create a strategy list. A strategy list is where you're going to tell how you are going to implement all of this that you have mentioned above. So your strategy list may include the number of resources you are planning for testing, the tools that you're going to use for testing, the metrics that you're going to collect as a result of using that tool. Now, maybe it could be a manual testing or it could be a combination of both manual and automation. So all these pointers should be mentioned in your test strategy. So it is not important saying that what all you will be doing, but it is also an intelligent thing to say that how you are going to do. So that will be your strategy list. Then your responsibilities. So who is responsible for what? Maybe for a deliverable, or maybe for the environmental setup, who is going to be responsible for what, or in other words it could be the list of roles. Okay, who is a manager, who is going to be the developer, who is going to be the senior tester, the junior tester, all this. So this will give a clear picture for the internal management team as well as the on-site team to know reach out to the correct person for any queries for that matter. So this particular section. Next you have the schedule. So schedule is something that you are going to give the deadline for each of the deliverable. So every deliverable should be delivered at that particular point of time or on that date. So that scheduling is important. Now you can say, now how will I know that now when I'm going to prepare it? Now it could have dependency, so on and so forth. It is correct, but you're going to give a estimated and approximated, so that no, at least you will have a picture of how is it going to go about. So the scheduling is very very important of the testing milestone. So when what will be completed, so that date is very very important. Then you have the staffing and training needs. So you will know like how many resources you're going to involve in this testing process, and there could be a need for some other new tool to be learned by the testers and to be involved in this particular testing. Maybe it could be a request from the on-site or your client side also. So that planning also has to be made, like how many days of training you're planning, whom all you're trying to put them in for this training. So all those details will come under the staffing and training. It is not that every time we will go about with training, but sometimes it will be required. when you have the pass fail criteria, so where you are going to reveal like which is going to be considered as pass, what is going to be considered as fail. So in general terms, if your expected result and your actual result are same, then it is going to be your pass, and if it is differing in any of the criteria, then it is going to be a fail statement. But still you are going to deliberately say in this section what you're going to consider as pass and what you're going to consider as fail, and also you're going to give the suspension criteria and your assumption requirements. So we will discuss that in a later point of time, but here you're going to have this pass and fail criteria. So this will also be your exit criteria. Once your test case is passed, then you're going to exiting from that particular stage. Then you have your risks. So the risks mentioning is very very important. You have to detail all the factors that your project depends on and the risks that are involved in. So be aware of any unclear requirement. So I think we had a detailed discussion of how an unclear requirement could affect a product in a later point of time. So if there are any unclear requirements, mention that explicitly and from your past bug history. So if at all you have handled any such application from the same domain earlier, then you should have that in your mind and put that also as a risk in your risk and dependency section. Then as I told you, the suspension criteria, so the tester should know when you should be stopping or giving a pause to your testing process. So if you have an incomplete task or you have large volume of bugs, critical bugs, incomplete test environments, and you have resource shortage, you have to put a pause to your testing process and you have to wait till these issues are resolved and then you can resume your testing. So that should be clearly mentioned in your suspension criteria. So having said all this, everything put together will form your test plan. So what is a pro of using a test plan? What are the cons, your advantages and disadvantages? So the advantages are as such, like you have the roadmap for a testing process, there is a clear communication, you have the requirements for your test environment, you have a functional coverage, it has it will prevent you from unnecessary testing, keeps record of what was tested, accurate effort estimation, control and track your progress and your risk management. So before even you start your process, you are aware of what you are going to do and how you're going to do. So that all will include your advantages of your testing process. But this could be one of the advantage. So we need a test plan. A management team is asking for a test plan for, or maybe your not your test lead or somebody is saying it is a waste of time. But no, a test plan creation is the mandatory. If at all you're going to miss on that, then your trouble starts from that point. And what is the difficulty or disadvantage of having it? No, it needs time to create. As I already told you, creating a test plan and getting the approval is definitely hectic process, but it is a good to have process. Change management, when new requirements come in, your test plan is going to change. And your redundant information, as I told you before, you when you start writing your test plan or in the due course of writing a test plan, you may not be very clear of all the informations and detailing, but definitely at least an approximation would help you in your testing process, and it will defend you from this kind of managers. So where a manager is saying I am a manager and everything no you have to do is what I say, you have to do that. But no, you have to explain him, no, we'll see why we should have a test plan, we will go according to the test plan. That should be the suggestion that has to be given from a tester's perspective. So we have detailed everything about having a test plan and what is it and how you're going to construct a test plan. If you have any questions, please feel free to post your questions and I'll be very happy to answer your questions. So reach out to me for any doubts. So thank you so much for listening patiently to this video on test planning. So keep supporting my channel, subscribe to my Phoenix YouTube channel. You will get more updates on testing and testing processes. Be a Phoenix, fly high so that no one even imagines to touch you. Thank